by simple diffusion. Substances are just simple diffusion. Some are by osmosis. Water is absorbed by osmosis. How about sodium? Do you still remember active transport? Sodium, potassium pump. So this sodium is by active transport, and your glucose, it's like wants to piggyback with your sodium. Okay? So your glucose is absorbed. When your sodium is absorbed, your glucose will piggyback with your sodium, therefore it will be absorbed as well, as you will see in the other next slide. Now, there be transcellular absorption, meaning the nutrient will actually move into the cell, or paracellular, in between the cells. What do you need for emulsification of your fat? Bile, right? When it is a fatty chyme, meaning the chyme has increased level of fat, there will be also a release of CCK. Okay? This CCK, or cholecystokinin, very long, just make it CCK. Okay? This will stimulate your gallbladder. Okay? This will stimulate the contraction of your gallbladder, so your gallbladder will what? What will it do?
Release the bile.
Yes, it will release the bile. Eject the bile into the duodenum. Okay? Also, this CCK also increase secretion of your pancreas enzyme. Plus, this CCK also opposes your gastrin. When you oppose gastrin, what happens? No more gastric secretion, right? No more hydrochloric acid secretion. So, it won't be too that acidic anymore. Okay. Again, when the chyme is in the small intestine, in the duodenum will secrete two hormones, secretin and CCK. Secretin will stimulate your pancreas to release enzymes and bicarbonate. Your CCK will stimulate your gallbladder to release your bile into the duodenum. At the same time, it will also stimulate your pancreas to increase its secretion, and it will oppose your gastric gland, your endocrine cells in your gastric gland. Therefore, no more gastrin secretion. Now, the bile. What's in your bile? So this is produced by the liver, right? And stored and concentrated in the gallbladder. Your bile consists of lecithin and bile salts. These are the ones that will break down and mix the food. starts digestion of your protein because you have pepsin. Your hydrochloric acid activates your enzyme, breaks up food, and kills the germ. And the mucus secreted by goblet cells protects your stomach wall. Limited absorption of alcohol and ascorbate. Now, when the food is in your small intestine, in the duodenum, the liver, the gallbladder, and pancreas will now move their secretion into the duodenum. Liver, of course, you have the production of bile. Gallbladder stores the bile. And when it is fatty food, this gallbladder will contract with the help of your cholecystokinin. It will be cholecystokinin will be released by the duodenum. It will tell the gallbladder, hey, release your fat into the duodenum, okay, so that it can emulsify the fat. Now, pancreas, you know that it secretes bicarbonate to neutralize the stomach acid, trypsin and chymotrypsin to digest proteins. Amylase, again, digest polysaccharides into disaccharides, okay? Lipase digests lipids, and nucleases digest your RNA and DNA. And then in the small intestine, you will now have complete digestion because of all these enzymes and bile. Mucus protects the gut wall, absorbs nutrients, moves water, and you have your brush border enzymes, peptidases, sucrase, digest sugars, lactase, digest your lactose, nucleotides, and phosphatases digest nucleotides. Now, in the large intestine, reabsorbs water and ions, forms and stores the feces. Rectum stores and expels the feces, and of course, anus open when you relax your external sphincter so you can eliminate your fecal material. And that is the end of chapter
40.
For a quick check, attempt this activity. I think you need to get some additional clothes and protective equipment picked out before we get into the lab. Drag and drop the appropriate item on Ryan to protect him during the lab exercise.
Oh no, you don't need that. You should. Okay.
La venganza suena genial, pero ¿cómo podremos conseguirla?
So.
Por $20 dejaré que Keonna me dé una paliza por 30 segundos.
Suena tentador, Riz, pero ¿cómo sabemos que nos dejarás
You
volver?
need pants,
No te vengarás de nosotros mañana.
goggles,
Esa es la mejor parte. Estaré atado y vendado todo el tiempo que me
gloves,
Las filas se formarán en la
shoes,
cochera dentro de una hora. No les diré cómo conseguir
and she needed a apron.
menos la tuya, Freddy. Lleva el dinero bajo la ropa.
To get started, take a look at the procedural steps to perform the test.
Okay.
Here's the first test. We will be using Lugol's reagent to determine the presence of starch in a solution. Now, it's time to choose the supplies for Lugol's test. Select the required supplies for the test.
So on the
The
corner it
supplies are
tells you
displayed
what
on
you
this
need.
and the next screen.
Distilled water,
Use the material checklist to make sure you get everything.
starch solution. Let me see what it says. Starch solution. Lugol's reagent. Where's that at? Okay. Disposable droppers.
No solo es el vecindario,
Test tubes.
es todo el mundo. ¿Cómo se tratan todas las personas?
Mm.
Díganme, ¿por qué tiene que ser así? Existe mucho odio.
Pencils. What he said.
No pienses, deja que tu odio le diga a tu cuerpo qué hacer.
I know I'm not looking over this stuff.
Llevamos $460.
¿De veras?
No lo olvides, guarda $20
What is
para
that?
el taxi al hospital.
¿Me van prisa por dinero. Esta es la mejor nación de la tierra.
No, you don't need the solution. You don't need the powder. You don't need that. You don't need this. Okay. Okay, here the rest of it. Beaker, test tubes, and test tube holders. Okay. Next.
We will now use the Lugol's reagent to detect the presence of starch. Remember, starch is a complex carbohydrate and will act as our food in this digestion lab.
Okay.
Now, use a wax pencil to mark the first test tube, 1A.
Okay. So the first test tube
Next,
is 1A.
place 2 milliliters of distilled water in test tube 1A. Remember, you shouldn't put your dropper directly into any lab supply container. Instead, pour some into one of...
Okay, we put 2. See? 2 milliliters into test A. So select the dropper into the beaker and move it into test 2 to release the solution. So it says select the dropper and the beaker. This is the dropper and the beaker, and then put it into test A. Okay, so we need to put 2 of these in here because it says 2. Okay, so that's 2 milliliters.
Now mark the second test tube, 1B.
No, see? Oh my gosh. 1B.
Next, place 2 milliliters of distilled water in test tube 1B.
Okay.
Since you already poured distilled water in the beaker earlier, we can use that water for our test.
Okay. So I'll put this here. Babe, your phone is too loud.
Next, place 2 milliliters of starch solution in test tube 1A.
2 milliliters. And then starch solution. And I just do this so like if I have to retake it, then I'll write my notes down.
Now you add 3 drops of Lugol's reagent to test tube 1A. Reagent.
So this is positive because it has it in it, and then this one is negative because it doesn't show any changes in the solution.
Great! You have completed Lugol's reagent test. Now move on to the next test.
So it say add 3 drops of Lugol reagent to test 1A. So I'm gonna add 3 drops. Okay.
Cool, look at that. What does the blue-black color mean in this test?
Take a close look at the tube. Open your lab notebook and record the findings.
So he said it was blue-black. So it say I'm gonna put starch was present. Okay.
Now, let's see what happens when we do the same test with distilled water. Add 3 drops of Lugol's reagent to test tube 1B.
Okay. 3 drops of Regal. Hey, Roman.
It didn't change color. What does this result mean?
That means it's not present if it didn't change colors.
Take a close look at the tube. Open your lab.
So that means the starch is not present.
Now you know what a positive and negative test reagent.
So this is positive because it has it in it, and then this one is negative because it doesn't show any changes in the solution.
Great! You have completed Lugol's reagent test. Now, move on to the next test.